Hello, welcome to Nintendo Nostalgia, episode 27. I'm your host, Jacob Russ, and I'm with my co-host, Ryan Black, and we are back, and we are playing with power. Ryan, welcome back to another week, man. Episode 27, we keep growing 1 week at a time.
It's good to be alive, for sure. But, Have you heard?
Have I heard what? I don't know.
Have you heard? E3's coming.
E3, I keep hearing people talking about this. I believe our lovely friends over at Warp Whistle had their predictions episode, and I think I agree with a lot of what they had to say. So if you guys want to hear some early E3 predictions, go check out Warp Whistle podcast.
Ours is coming.
Stuff. Ours is coming, but yeah, probably not until a little bit closer to E3 for how we want to roll it out. But yeah. Very cool. Yes, I'm excited for E3. I heard on a podcast I was listening to just this past week, Life of Gaming podcast. They were saying it's like 6 or 7 weeks away, and I didn't realize wow, that's really close. Oh my gosh! And when I really stopped to look at a calendar, dang, dude! I just my heart got excited. I'm like, wow, we are really getting close to the Christmas of announcements for gamers, for us, especially as Nintendo fans. So. Very excited about that, but Ryan, we are not the only ones here today again. We have the man with the golden beard, the wonders of the knowledge he brings to this show is just amazing.
All right, that's enough. It's me.
It's you. It's Tom Qualls. That's right.
Just me. I'm back.
He is back. And guys, if you're new to the show, welcome. Tom Qualls is not on every episode, but he is our third.
That's right.
He is our third co-host.
That's right. The third piece of the Triforce. We all come together and we're complete. And now you have the golden treasure as listeners.
Absolutely.
We'll let you guys figure out which ones, courage and power and wisdom.
There you go. I'll go power. I got this.
Well, guys, before we start going on news and everything, I always want to give a quick shout out. This past week, I had the opportunity to be on Sean Capri's show, We the Gamercast. So if you guys do not listen to that show, or if you have and you just don't listen to it every week or something, I was on it, and it was a very special episode. Sean's show is really unique. He meets strangers from the internet, and they're gamers and everything, and he basically just talks to them. You get to know who we are as people, and it's not all about gaming. Some stuff is about gaming, some stuff is about our interests, but especially this episode, we got a little bit deep with some stuff, and it's an emotional episode. So I do warn you, if you listen to it, grab some tissues because you probably will need them. But please go check out our dear friend Sean Capri. He's one of the men that helped Nintendo Nostalgia get going and started, and we owe a lot of credit to him for being where we are today. So go check out that show. It just aired literally this Monday. You can find it on iTunes. And then, guys, we check our iTunes posting every once in a while to just see if people are leaving comments and rating us. And we just want to say thank you. We have been getting more posts and more ratings. And guys, it really helps. It totally helps. It's getting easier to find our name when I type it in. I don't have to go through a whole list of other Nintendo podcasts to see us. So please, the more you rate us and like us, it's going to really spread the word of our show. And it's going to help us be able to grow and be able to do more things. We're really starting to feel comfortable with starting talking about things we want to roll out that we're able to do the bigger we get. So keep them coming. Please, if you haven't gone on, go to our iTunes, leave us a comment, and leave us a 5-star review if you don't mind.
There you go. Become a 5-star friend.
A 5-star friend.
Yeah, 5-star friend. That's what we're looking for. Anybody can be a friend, but it takes a lot to be a 5-star friend. All you got to do is get on iTunes. It's that easy.
Very easy. So thank you, guys. We just wanted to say we do see what you're doing, and we appreciate it. Please continue to do it and spread the word of the show because we want to grow and we want to get better for you. So let's get into the news. Tom, welcome back. Go ahead, and what news have you brought for us for this week?
All right, I got news. And this time, the news comes in twain. All right, I got two pieces of news, but it's all about one game that also has two in the title. All right, we're talking about Splatoon 2 this week. I'm excited. I had a lot of fun with the Global Test Fire. We talked about it on the show a little bit, and I love me some Splatoon, and I'm looking forward to the second one. And the first piece of news I got, Nintendo on their official Twitter today, that would be April 25th, all right? Not to pull the curtain back too much on how we do the show here, but April 25th at noon today, they officially announced at E3 this year, we were just talking about E3, at E3 this year, there will be a Splatoon 2 pre-release exhibition tournament. So that's going to be a big deal. I'm super excited about that because, first of all, I love how competitive Splatoon can be.
Yes.
I'm really excited to see where Splatoon 2 is going to take the series as far as its competitive nature. And I know that Nintendo has a plan to make it really competitive and kind of put it in the esports scene, because even the original Switch launch trailer, if you guys remember that, there was that big scene of like the two competing Splatoon teams, with the esports jerseys in the arena and stuff. I'm a big fan of esports also. So to see this peanut butter and chocolate mixing of Nintendo franchise plus esports possibility, that makes me super excited. Now, I don't know. Are you guys really into the esports thing or what?
I mean, I don't watch it. So no, I guess. I mean, I wish I could compete more, but the thing is, like, I feel like if you want to be super awesome, you have to dedicate your time to it. Like it's a real sport.
Yeah. It's like a lifestyle.
For my lifestyle, I don't have the time to, like, I get good at games, but I'm not good enough to go.
Yeah. But that's the beauty of esports is you get to watch those guys. Just like, we watch football on Sundays as Americans, and, I like football, but I can't play football. That's one thing I really like about esports and the way esports is growing is just, you get these celebrities kind of coming out of games, and you get to watch different things. I love watching competitive Smash Brothers. I love watching competitive Heroes of the Storm and Hearthstone. I love that stuff.
See, I don't, because like if I see someone play Smash Bros, I want to be in there playing Smash Bros with them, but I know like I'm not going to be able to scratch them because I can't practice or put the time in that they do. So.
What do you think, Ryan? What do you think? What do you think about the whole esports thing, and then where Splatoon 2 fits into that?
I've never actually like sat down and like watched like a TV channel and watched esports or anything like that. Like, not something I've done. I feel like it's not. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not much similar than watching like just other people play like at the store. Like, not of course like skill, but like watching going to a tournament, watching Smash Bros. Like you're seeing basically that it's tournament, it's competitive. Right. It's kind of weird to me that it's actually a lifestyle. It's like compared to like football and how like you can like train and you can play and it be televised. That's weird to me still. It doesn't like does that really exist? Like it's exactly the same thing. Like they showed the reveal for the Switch and they did that whole like stage thing. Like my wife was like, that's not real. Like actually it is.
Let's
they actually do that.
Oh yeah. If you've ever heard of
like go to stadiums and watch people game, like actually do. That's something.
Yeah, you look at League of Legends or Dota or something like that, and they totally fill stadiums with those people.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Crazy. Like I have not tapped into that yet, but I am really excited about it. In fact, I might be sneaking some peeks at some Splatoon 2 stuff going on. So.
Oh, there you go. See, I'm excited.
Especially if I want to get good. I've got to learn those tricks.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to get a team together.
Yeah,
we got all these other podcasts talking smack on us about Mario Kart 8.
That would be awesome.
Team NOS all the way.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
Oh, dude, we already got it. All right, I'm thinking of jerseys already.
I love it. You hear that, other podcasters? We are challenging you to Splatoon team battles, and we need to put a wager. We need to start a bet with our friends from We the Gamer Cast and Nintendo.
Start light though. Start light. We're gonna ease into this. Just start light.
I mean, believe me, I'm not very good. So, but once I get good, I'll throw down some money or something here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
you do the Mario Kart, and then you can tag me in for the Splatoon.
There you go. Just clap it in.
There you go.
wrestling style.
Clapper.
Yeah.
Very good. So,
right.
what was
So,
your
yeah,
other bit of news?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. So on the back of that, Splatoon 2 a couple days ago, I'm a big fan of kind of the lore of Splatoon also. That's something that I really loved about Splatoon is it's a full-on franchise. Nintendo, I think, it has plans on investing in this, and it's already got kind of its own lore. And the last Splatfest, where you get to pick team versus team and all that stuff. The last Splatfest was Callie versus Marie, where the right team won, which was Marie. And they won, which was good. But apparently they're taking the Splatfest results and they're rolling that into apparently the story for Splatoon 2, which makes me really excited. And they released an official prologue to Splatoon 2, which I will read for you now if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Let me get clear my throat here. I don't know what you can do in post, but if there's a nice reading music you could lay underneath it, that's fine. Here we go. About 9 months have passed since the final Splatfest. Twilight lowers its curtain on Inkopolis. Neon signs paint the dusk in brilliant shades of green and pink. The Squid Sisters dance on, as though driven by the inkling love of battling for turf. Memories such as these linger, vividly etched into my mind, but feel too like remnants of a long-forgotten past. It happened the night of the final Splatfest came to end. The showdown of Callie versus Marie ended in victory for Marie. But there was no ill will between the two. The girls left the studio arm in arm, smiling and laughing as they always had. The bond between them would continue, unbroken, for years to come. Or so it seemed at the time. And that's the end of the whole prologue. And it was like, wait a second. Are you telling me there's trouble in paradise right now and that Callie and Marie are going to break up? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I mean, I think that's really cool that they had us, the players, play in this event that's a regular event, and that they used us to
inform,
make their next story.
We drove the divide between the two of them even.
Oh my gosh, this is all on us. This is all our fault.
That's really cool to think about, though. I mean, really. I mean, I don't know if they had that plan from the start. I honestly don't know, but that is really cool to think that the players determine the fact of how the next story is going to play out. They should continue to do that from future iterations for this game.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if the story, I don't know if everyone's played the first Splatoon, but I mean, the story in there was a little bit different. So I wonder if that will even have a connection to the story of this one, or if it's going to be an all new story. So that's really interesting. Wow.
Yeah, I think that's really fun. Plus, it was just, I liked that it was like, yeah, everything's cool. They're sisters. Nothing's, it's fine. Or was it? And they just kind of leave you with one of those. So,
wow.
I'm interested to see.
And I have to say, I'm a big story guy. Everyone who listens to this knows that. So, the story of Splatoon actually kind of intrigues me more than just even playing with people online to unfold that story. That was the one thing if I did anything most with Splatoon 1 is I wanted to beat the story campaign, and I did do that. So no, that's really interesting. I'm curious to dip my toes into that a bit more.
There you go.
Any other thoughts on that, Ryan?
Nope, nothing to add.
Cool. Well, why don't we go ahead and segue into our shared topic? Ryan and I wanted to bring up something together. Ryan, let's unfold it. You seem pretty upset about this. So go unroll this carpet of dread that you have here.
So I got really excited when I heard talk of Axiom Verge coming to the Switch. I skipped it on Wii U. And I was like, I wish this was a 3DS game so I could take it on the go, because I'd really get the most out of it if I could just take it with me. And so I skipped it on the Wii U. I'm like, maybe it'll come to the Switch. Maybe it'll come to the Switch. And then people are saying, oh yeah, it's coming to the Switch. They said in this interview, it was said this. And I was so freaking stoked.
Yeah.
And guess what? The carpet was pulled out from under me today and found out that our very own Nintendo has denied Axiom Verge going to the eShop.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was. I saw that today. I was just like you, Ryan. I was actually really excited to see this news because I'm just like you. I skipped it on Wii U because Switch was coming, and it was a big hit, And I'm a big physical copy guy, so like the announcement of a physical copy coming made me really excited. So I was going to hold out and get that. I was looking forward to it. And then I saw today what you said, that Nintendo actually they're the reasons it's not out yet. That they even said it could have been a day one launch game if Nintendo would have let them for the Switch, which would have been really cool, to be honest. But now I'm kind of looking at a silver lining here. I honestly think that this happened was because I think that we're getting a Metroid game, and this game is the exact same style of Metroid. I mean, that's the whole reason it was made. I really think they're holding back, at least for now, because they want to promote their own Metroid game, and they don't want competition on their on their console for it. Which, I mean, the more money, the better. I still think people would buy both. But that's kind of what I'm seeing here. That's how I feel about this. So I'm not necessarily, because it's not official that it would never come to the Switch. I think eventually will get there.
Yeah, I think you're setting us up for a bigger letdown when you say that.
I really feel like Metroid's coming. I mean, this isn't our E3 episode, but I really think it's coming, guys.
That would be great, and that would make sense if Metroid was coming out, like they announced it at E3, it was coming out like the next month or something. But I don't think Metroid's that close. I really don't. And so, to deny this doesn't quite make sense. And it's something on the business side that we may not understand because, I was so excited for this. I was finally going to get to play this game.
Is there bad blood between the two?
Not that I'm aware of. It's one of the few indie developers that have been turned away, which is like what happened there? Like that's so striking.
I mean, I do know that, I don't know if this had anything to do with it, probably not, but I do know that the guy who made Axiom Verge at E3 last year said some comments to Reggie about, like, they were talking about Metroid, and he was, like, complimenting him on it, Reggie was, and he was like, well, somebody had to make the Metroid game because you guys weren't, so I don't know. It's kind of like a snarky comment from the way I read it. Again, I wasn't there, so I don't know. Maybe there's some bad blood in between them. I don't know. That's just a hunch. Don't take my word on it.
It came out on the Wii U, though. So
yeah, right. But that was after. This happened after the fact.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I mean, the fact that it's on the Wii U and they've brought over a lot of games already that were on the Wii U that were hits. I don't know. So maybe it's not ruled out. I think it'll come eventually, and I really think, I'm telling you, I really think we're going to get a 2D Metroid and a 3D Metroid. I think it's in the works. I don't know when it's coming. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if there's a 2D Metroid that comes out this year, and then, or maybe what if they said at E3 we have new 2D Metroid out, and it's coming out today?
No, I don't think so.
Nah, that's a pipe dream there.
Okay, if I am right, you guys both owe me a pizza. Okay.
All right. Deal.
One of those nasty veggie pizzas you like.
I want a meat lovers pretzel. Stuffed crust from Pizza Hut Pizza. If I'm right, I know it's wishful thinking, but hey, one man can dream.
You know what? If that's the case.
Hey, we're getting into predictions here. Let's hold our predictions.
That's true. Okay, all right. Fair enough.
All right. So, guys, that's enough of the news. What have you guys been playing? I love to hear what you guys have been playing week by week. It better have been some Nintendo, Ryan. You sometimes play, like, cell phone games, and that's it.
Well, I have been playing Nintendo, so don't worry.
Thank goodness. We can keep you on the show.
There you go. One more week.
I touched my 3DS again, did Badge Arcade. But you know what? I finally I went to Speedway and I cashed in my Speedy Rewards points and I got a $20 gift card for Nintendo. Yeah. So, what am I going to do with this? I was holding on to it. Like, I've got nothing really to play on my Switch. I need something. And I had actually got to demo the Human Resource Machine. So I went ahead and bought it.
Oh, cool.
And it's a lot of fun. It's not for everybody. It's coding. It's programming.
Okay.
It's kind of cool. Yeah, it's a really cool idea that turns a video game into like programming. I'm learning how to do this sort of thing. I'm a kind of an amateur programmer in a way, and it's kind of funny because I have a friend who's all into programming. He's like got a really good job with all that, and like I've been like talking back and forth with him. He's throwing these terms out, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what the heck accumulators are.
I didn't realize it was about programming. I'll have to maybe test it out on your Switch because I mean it doesn't look appealing to me at all. But that programming aspect kind of makes it sound interesting to me. So I'll have to test it out for sure. Because there's not a demo for it, is there?
No, there's not. But that's pretty much how I experienced it. Was playing on someone else's Switch. So yeah, I can bring it over and you can try it out.
Oh, nice.
The best part about it though, you just like the most comfortable way to play it. Just pop off the Joy-Cons and just play with the tablet part of it, the touch screen. It's really cool. It's fun walking around like that. And I found out that the Switch does fit in my back pocket comfortably. So
nice,
nice, very nice.
That's
Tom,
cool.
how about you? What have you been playing, man?
Oh man, a couple things. Number one, I've been playing Yoshi's Woolly World. You guys heard me talk about it.
Yes, I did.
And those of you that are in our chat page on Facebook, we got into it. I think yesterday about some Yoshi stuff. But yeah, man, I love Yoshi's Woolly World. I'm taking my time with it because there's like a billion things to collect in every stage.
Totally.
So I'm just going nice and thoroughly through everything, getting each of the little Yoshis that look different and falling in love with some of them, and then looking at other ones and realizing that sometimes I think they just ran out of ideas. Like you didn't even try. You just took 3 colors of yarn and you put it in there. But some of them, I really love the designs, but I enjoy it because I didn't look up like what are all the Yoshis and go to look after certain ones. So for me, it's a surprise. So every time I collect them at the end of the stage, I'm like, ooh, what I get? And then, Safari Yoshi, I like that one. Whatever. Yeah, it is. Like I love. They
did a really good job on that. That is a good game. Just thinking about it, I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I've been really digging it.
Anything else, or is that it?
Oh, well, I had some family up here a couple weeks ago, and I was finally able to bust out 1-2 Switch.
Oh wow, there you go.
Yeah, and kind of a party setting, so it was fun.
Awesome. It's made for.
Absolutely. I really enjoy it. I don't know why. It's probably the dumbest game on there, but I really love the shaking bottle one where you shake up the soda. I love that.
That's funny.
Hot potato.
Right. Well, it is hot potato. And for whatever reason, that's like one of my favorite childhood games was like hot potato. There's no skill. There's nothing crazy. It's just like you're toss it around, see who loses. But like that's great because the HD Rumble really does give you that fizz feel, and you can be like, "Whoop, yep, here I'm just going to shake this once and pass it."
I really like the sword game. I thought that was cool. Like, not the one where you catch it. I mean, that was fun, but I mean, like the one that's like literally like you're in a sword battle. I thought that was cool.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, we didn't get too into it. We were kind of cramped with space, so we didn't want to start flailing our arms too bad.
Yeah,
in there and doing some things. But no, I really enjoyed it. It was fun to finally get to play that with a very large room of people and pass the controllers around and just fling Joy-Cons around the room. It was like, here,
Yeah.
Actually, mine's actually pretty low key. My favorite one is probably Zen. Like, I like striking the poses and holding them.
There you go.
I don't know why.
I think because it reminds you of WarioWare Smooth Moves.
Yeah.
Because that game is great. The elephant. Yeah.
That is the game. What have I been playing, everybody? I officially I've beaten every game that I own for the Switch. I did own Forge. I traded in. I told everybody this last week. I traded in my Bomberman, and I got Mario Kart 8. All paid off. I got the wheels with it and everything.
Nice.
So I'm down to 3 games, but I've beaten Snipper Clips with my wife completely.
Nice.
I beat The Legend of Zelda.
Nice.
And I beat Snake Pass 100%. So Snake Pass, it's a very good game. The music's just beautiful. It really fits the atmosphere. David Wise, truly amazing.
He's the man, yeah.
Him and Grant Kirkhope are my 2 favorite composers of all time. Good stuff there. Snake Pass, it's funny because I went back and like I remember I was so frustrated with that game when I first got it. So frustrated. And playing through the last world, the last couple levels in the game, like are so freaking hard that like that made me like super good. So when I went back to play another, that was just for. I went back to the very first level because I struggled at some stuff where I would die over and over. I rage quit. So I went back and like I went through them and it was like piece of cake. Like I'm like, how did I struggle? Like I finally know how to move like a snake. So once you get it down, there is a learning curve, guys, when you first get it. But once you get it down, it's really good. So Snake Pass, really good. I enjoy it. Go pick that up. But since I ran out of the games, and I am just chomping at the bit for a special game starring a chameleon and a fruit bat, I pulled out the 64 and I was like, I'm gonna replay. I'm gonna beat Banjo-Kazooie in one day, and I didn't beat it in one day, but I got to like because my in-laws ended up coming up unexpectedly, so I had to stop. And
they ruined everything.
They did. I had 2 more levels to go. I had Rusty Bucket Bay and Cluck Cluck Woods to go, and so I actually completed those. I forgot how hard those final 2 levels. They took forever. They were really hard. So
There's a lot of running around in both of those too.
They are. I spent my Sunday playing it, and then ran out of time there too. So I popped it in tonight. I got right to outside Gruntilda's final boss fight, and I was going to kick her butt tonight. And like, dude, she's kicking my butt. Like I'm like ashamed of myself. I'm really embarrassed because like this is my favorite game of all time. I've beaten this game a handful of times, and I'm losing. I keep dying to this freaking witch, and that's not. She is a witch. Gruntilda the witch. She is. I don't get it. Like I'm like, why am I doing so bad? You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes, like you play a game and you're supposed to be good, and you know you're good. You've done this before, but yet you just keep doing terrible. You're like,
yeah.
Sometimes you just have to sit down there and just like, you know what? It's just not my day. I'm just not there today.
Yep.
And that's eventually what I did. So I just had to stop, and I don't even think I'm going. The next 2 days are pretty busy for me, so I don't even think I'm going to get to play it. So I'll try to revisit it once this weekend gets here and beat her butt, man. But man, I'm really disappointed in myself. It kind of makes me nervous. I'm like, am I going to suck at ukulele now? Like, what the heck? I hope not, because I want to have fun with this game. So, but that's what I've been playing.
Nice.
I love Banjo-Kazooie. So with that said, guys, we are going to get into the main meat of the show. This is a little bit different from our regular formula. Usually we always talk about past games or like our nostalgia for old games and old systems or maybe a specific topic like past boss battles that were our favorites. We are going to talk about Zelda Breath of the Wild. But so be warned, it is all spoilers.
Oh, yeah. From here on out, yep.
Absolutely. So if you haven't beaten the game, go ahead and stop listening. Or if you don't care, keep listening, and we will get this thing going. So here is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. All right, guys, listen, I know other shows have been doing this, and we've wanted to do it, from the start. We're going to be talking about Zelda Breath of the Wild, and we're going to give our final thoughts. If you didn't hear, when we were leading up to the Switch, we had like a weekly countdown of going through like just a handful of our favorite, most impactful Zelda games to us. And we go back and check those episodes out because we talk about the history and the lore of those games and just what they meant to us, just the grandness of them all, leading up to the Switch launch and Breath of the Wild.
Yep, and they're definitely fun to listen to, especially the way we did things leading up to Breath of the Wild, because you get to hear a lot of our predictions and a lot of things we hoped and wished for it, and now we kind of know where we stand on those things. So
yeah, absolutely. So go back and check those episodes out if you're new and you haven't heard them. I think they turned out really good. We enjoyed them, especially because they're special games that really mean a lot to us. But with that said, we're going to be talking about the gameplay this game and just the game in general. So bear with us, and here we go. So Ryan, this was a new iteration for Zelda. I mean, the gameplay of this game was completely different than what we've ever seen in any Zelda game. And to be fair, I think it's almost completely different than there's a lot of elements to the game that you haven't seen in any game before. So
this is a next level game. This is the next generation. This is what it sets the bar for what we can expect in future generations. And that's impressive. It's so great to hear that from Nintendo. Like, that came from Nintendo. They did it first.
Yeah.
And masterpiece well.
Oh, yeah. Hands down. This is not to jump the gun at the end or anything, but this unseated my previous favorite Zelda game easily.
Wow.
Yeah.
Easily.
So good. Oh, yeah.
Easily. Guys, I don't know if you know off the top of your heads, but how many hours did you guys put into this game? Because the gameplay, to be fair, I think the gameplay of the game itself makes you play a lot longer than you would traditionally any other Zelda game. It's not necessarily the story that keeps you playing many hours. It's just the gameplay itself and how the game's designed. So you guys know your hours? Or do you need to look that up?
I am sitting at, I think, 125, almost 130. In fact, I'm sure any second now it's going to say 130 because I'm really close to that.
Last I checked, I want to say I was around 90?
90.
Question mark? Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds about right. The last time I checked, I still haven't finished all my shrines, but definitely put some time in.
Cool. Yeah, I know for a fact I'm at 140 plus hours on my game. So, which I mean, maybe, I don't know. I didn't measure all the times in my old games. Like, I don't know, but I feel like this might be the most I've ever played a game like that. I told my wife that, and she wasn't too happy about it. She's like, that could have been 2.5 weeks of full time working and you played a game. And I'm like,
we don't talk about that. You just let it ride.
Happy wife, happy life. What they don't know won't hurt them. So,
right.
But no, the gameplay of the game to me, I said this. I was on Play Some Video Games podcast, and we did a Zelda, this exact same thing. They did the reviews and everything, and we talked about the game. And I said, to be honest, I'm kind of nervous that when I play other Zelda games, or not Zelda, I'm worried that like an open world style game that's old, maybe a bit older than Zelda, that's coming to the Switch, like Skyrim. Like, I'm worried that I'm not going to enjoy my full experience with it because my first open world game, or open air game, according to Nintendo, was so good that anything else less than this is going to be a disappointment.
Spoiled us a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, that's what Joey and Ryan and I talked about last week. Like, they really set the bar super high. Do you guys see that being an issue for other games like that? Because the gameplay, like, you guys, you can literally, if you see it, you can go to it. You can climb over anything. And like, I even saw a little thing on the horizon. Like, they had someone was like jumping as a character, and like they couldn't climb over this little tiny ledge, that they're taller than. They couldn't climb over it.
Right.
And I mean, that was like, it blew my mind. Like, why? Like, that's something so small and little. What used to be okay, like, oh, that's just part of the game, is now it's not going to be okay if I can't walk over a little cliff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
Personally, I don't see much of an issue. Like, I can go back and play like other open world games and take them for what they are. Like, I can go back and play an Atari game and realize that it's got its extreme limitations to what's today. Yeah. And I can still enjoy them. So I don't think that's going to be a hang up for me. Like, I can go back and probably play like Ocarina of Time, and not have any problems. Cause that's what I'm used to. That was building blocks when I was growing up.
That's true.
So like now going forward and we see something that's like Ocarina of Time instead of like Breath of the Wild, that's going to be a little weird for me. Yeah,
exactly. And that's where I was going to go with it too. That was, I don't want to say there is no going back, because if they put out another 2D isometric, based in the Link to the Past, world with, Link Between Worlds and stuff, and they complete that trilogy, I think I'll still be extremely happy with that, just because I love the way those games work, because they do work fundamentally different than Breath of the Wild.
Yes.
And Breath of the Wild works fundamentally different than, say, Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask. But I think when I come to the next Zelda game, because that's the thing is, to me, the next Zelda game proper is something big. It's something you look forward to. It has to be bigger than this. It has to go big or go home. It has to do something, because this changed the game, in my opinion.
Sure. Well, guys, what do you think about some of the elements of this game? Like, you could pick up any item, just about.
Yeah.
You could take your enemy's items. They can even take your items if you dropped them. You had to adjust your armor for the electricity. You could line up metal objects to get an electric current to something else. I mean, there's so much realism to this game that you could do. How'd you guys feel about that? I mean, did you like that your weapons broke? Some people absolutely hated that the weapons broke.
I didn't mind it. I liked the mechanic of the weapons breaking, because it forced you to keep moving. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't have to I picked up a good sword. I have this good sword now forever, and everything else is just trash to me. I can't tell you how many times I would have a good sword. I'm a big fan of the Royal line of weapons. So I'd get a nice Royal broadsword. I'm having a great time, and oh shoot, it broke. Or, I get in a pinch and I chuck it at somebody for the critical hit and do some stuff. And I realize, oh man, all I have is stupid stuff in my inventory to fight this guy. So I'm scrambling now. I'm like, okay, spear. Yeah, just throw the spear. That's fine. That'll work.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that, because eventually after a hard fought battle, especially with some of the mini bosses on the map, you look at your inventory and you're like, well, time to refill. And that becomes a mini quest. That becomes a personal side quest, to be like, well, I need to go get some good weapons. I love that. And anybody who complains about the weapons breaking, they obviously don't know what a good game is. I said that. Fight me in a comment, because it's great.
I'm divided. I like both aspects, and dislike them both at the same time. Like, I didn't like that. Okay, I got this cool, weapon that was like one of the Guardians' weapons,
right? Yeah,
or one of the, what's the words I'm looking for?
Lynels?
No.
The ones that were on the Divine Beasts, the people.
Yes, I don't know why that word is
now either.
But yeah, like you get their weapon, like they died, and you get their weapon, and that weapon breaks. You're like, oh, well, I just kind of destroyed this like legendary thing, like a piece of history, and like that's something I'd want to hang in my house, like, but it broke, so I can't.
Well, that's what I love is those weapons you can reforge. So if you go on the quest, get some diamond, find the right NPC in those towns, they'll reforge it for you. Because I used that Gerudo shield probably way longer than I should have. And eventually I stopped dead in my tracks when mine broke. And I was like, I feel like I've betrayed my family. Like I felt so sad. And I was like, why did I use it? Why didn't I put it away?
Honestly, that was like me and Mifa. Like, I was like, oh man, that thing broke.
Yeah.
To be honest,
that's what's sad. The Zora spear is booty. It's not very good. I feel bad about that.
Really? Wow.
Oh yeah, it's no good.
To be honest, I didn't even know you could repair them, so I never did.
Yeah,
I never did. It's funny you say that, because I actually thought that the Zora spear was like awesome compared to the other.
Now
ones.
it looks cool. Don't get me wrong. It looks cool, but it's not.
Oh well, you got to realize the time of when I got the Zora spear, for like my strength and experience in the game. That Zora spear was OP for me when I got it. Like, it was really strong.
Right.
By the time I got the Gerudo sword and shield, I had way more powerful stuff than that. It was kind of disappointing that that's it. That's how I felt about it. So, I personally, I did not mind the weapons breaking at all. Like, I thought it was a cool element. Literally, once you kill somebody, you can take their weapon with you. Yeah. I thought it was really neat. I didn't like having to, you had to go all the stupid Korok seeds to expand your inventory. that got annoying, and it did get annoying too. Like Andre Seeger said this in Game Explain that I think it's annoying that when it's like I open a chest and you pull it out, and it's like awesome, you got this weapon. It says inventory is too full, and it puts it back. It's like why can't there just be a little selection where I just go to the inventory screen? Okay, I'm just going to drop this and keep that.
Yeah,
like,
and
that.
That's actually one of my negative points to the game. But for me, it was super minor. There was just some small menu, user interface things like that I would have liked. So when you go to, instead of it just saying, "Sorry, dude, your inventory's full," hey, why can't I just pull up my inventory and ask to swap it out? That'd be cool. Absolutely. All the way in the menu, then do this, drop it, then pick up the thing.
Absolutely.
Just that's real small, and I didn't really have a huge problem with it. It was a tad annoying.
Sure.
That's my only problem there.
Yeah, and I had the same thing. It's just a minor thing. One thing I didn't have what I learned about with the game, and I think this is just getting better with the game, was like when I would have a really strong weapon, I would learn to just save those weapons. Like if I see a Lionel, okay, I'm pulling out the big guns. Don't use my big guns on every bokoblin I see or every lizard dude. You just kind of get smarter with it with what items you want to use and what areas. So I thought that was cool. Go ahead, Ryan.
Go ahead. No, I was going to segue. But
my only thing that I guess maybe have a slight issue with is like I love the Master Sword, and I'm torn on it because I don't want a weapon to where I'm like OP, no one can touch me. But I don't like that Master Sword would get disabled, and like I felt like that was kind of dumb. Like this is the almighty Master Sword.
But still, to me, it was. I liked it from a gameplay standpoint and from a story standpoint, where I liked that the Master Sword. You couldn't just, I have Master Sword. I can now hold it in my hand the whole game.
Right. And
I felt it did have to go away for a little bit, so it forces you again to use some of those other weapons, which force you to go find other weapons. Again, it keeps you moving and exploring the world.
I agree with that. It's just, from what that weapon has always been in past Zelda games, it was kind of stupid. I'm like, come on,
I feel like it stepped in there. And Ryan, you interrupt me anytime you feel like you disagree with this, but I feel like it stepped up when you got to fight the Guardians or you were in a dungeon or something. It turned to 60. Yeah, then it was awesome. Then it felt like this is the Sword of Legend,
Well, maybe it just never went away. Like if it was just super weak when you fought regular enemies, like it was just a normal weapon, but and then it just did that. I just didn't like how it would be disabled if I was fighting with it, I guess,
Yeah. It was kind of like I didn't use the Master Sword even after I got it for quite a while. Mm-hmm. And eventually, like, you know what, I might as well just give it a try. And so I pulled it out and started using it on some Guardians and stuff, but and like I figured I think I first started really using it when I took on my first Lionel, and that was really where I went. Now, as far as weapons, items, like what is your favorite like thing in the game? What is your go-to item or your weapon, or what thing did you enjoy most in this game?
Good question.
I'll go ahead and go first. Sword, like a sword wise thing. My least favorites. I did not like the spears. I did not really like to have to attack them from a distance. I like to get in their grill and kind of fight them. I was torn earlier in the game. Like I like a sword that's like the Master Sword, where I can have my shield out and I can, be stealthy and move quicker, things like that. But as I went along, I actually really like the big swords, like the broadswords, and I really like. I really. That's what I liked the most, because especially when I'd be fighting the really tall bokoblin dudes, I love that. Like I could just swing, and I knock them down. Whereas if I have a little one, I'm hacking and slashing them, they can still get me. You know what I mean? So I feel like I had a better advantage with that big weapon. Maybe, and that's just for those type of enemies, but with so a sword like the Master Sword, I feel like is actually better for when you do face a boss. I don't know, like that's just kind of how I handled it, I guess. But
I was a big fan of the I like running classic Link sword and board, shield, and one-handed broadsword. I really enjoy that just because I like the mechanics of that fighting style the best out of everything. So I was really partial to the royal broadswords. I tried to keep 2 or 3 of those on me when I could.
Yeah.
Use my master sword if a guardian thought he was tough enough, or whatever it was. And I really enjoyed using those, but it wasn't really until later in the game, for whatever reason, I just kept finding a lot of the elemental swords, like the elemental broadswords. Yeah, so the ones with lightning or fire or ice in them.
Yeah,
and those really crept in. The thunder one is probably my favorite because I love being able to just stun the guys and then beat the heck out of them. And then then they're like, "Oh, I need to go get my weapon." I'm like, "No, you're stunned again, actually."
Yes,
and then it was. Yeah, you just stun lock them and beat the heck out of them, and it was great. So every time one of those would break, I just felt like, well, I don't want to play this game anymore. I need to I really want this.
I really liked using the ice elemental sword on when you would get to the shrines of strength, because maybe it didn't do anything extra, but I felt like because you can freeze them, and when you freeze them, and then when you hit them and you break them. I feel like it's like a stronger hit. That's how I kind of felt. Maybe I'm crazy, but I would love freezing them, and then I would just go smack. I just felt like I took a lot of damage out on them. So I feel like I made a lot of progress when I do that. And the same with the thunder sword. That really did a lot like that too. So, but the fire's good.
Yeah, I enjoy that, and I liked how even at the beginning of the game, the blue choo-choo guys, the little choo-choo jelly dudes, I was always like, I don't know what these blue are going to ever be used for. And then I found out those elemental weapons actually turn those jellies. That got me really excited because when you go to start upgrading your armor, which maybe we'll talk about in a little bit, but when you go to start upgrading your armor, some of those things are really hard to find. So as soon as I got an elemental weapon, I was like, "Ooh, I need to go find jellies and go kill them."
I'm glad you brought up the jellies, because actually my favorite item in Breath of the Wild is the fire chew jelly.
Really?
It is so versatile. Like, I could throw it on the ground, shoot it with an arrow, and hit other enemies. It makes more of them if you hit the chew jellies. You can throw some wood down, shoot the chew jelly, instant fire. You can set anything on fire that you needed, right there.
Oh my goodness! I don't think I ever tried using it that way.
Like, I would drop it, I would run, and then the Hinox would come near me. I'd shoot it, it'd burn away any of the wood that was around its feet.
Oh, that's brilliant!
So or I can use it to create the updrafts and get higher. It's so versatile. I love that.
I never thought of that. That's so brilliant.
Attach a octo balloon to it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I think you can anyway.
You know what's funny, guys? I've seen
Hyrule. Yeah.
I've seen all of this stuff that people do with these jellies and the balloons. I didn't know you could do any of that by the time I beat the game. and you know what's even funnier? I was letting a friend of mine test out Zelda, and I just beaten Ganon and all that stuff. And I took him to the plateau so he could test around because he had no clue, but he had all my upgrades and everything like that. Right. So, and he was screwing around, and I didn't know that you could throw the light, the light that when you get the Master Sword. You remember in the old games?
Oh yeah,
you could go bling and it shoot out the beam. I didn't know you could do that, and my buddy is just messing around, and he does it for fun. He's chopping down trees. I'm like, how'd you do that? I said, I beat this whole game, put over 140 hours. I didn't know I could do that.
Well, that was interesting because you don't really think about using the throw mechanic when you have the Master Sword. I think because there's something wired into our head that says, you don't throw the Master Sword. Are you crazy?
Yeah, you don't want to lose it. Because I accidentally would throw that. I would accidentally throw weapons. I didn't mean to throw the weapons. So I'm kind of like, oh, no, don't lose the Master Sword.
Right. Well, I did it just out of curiosity. I was like, well, I noticed when I get electrocuted, I won't drop the Master Sword. So I'm like, I'm wondering if that means you can't lose it. So at one point, it said it was getting weak or whatever. So I was like, I'll see what happens if you throw the Master Sword. I got a save point. So I threw it at something, and it shot the magic. And I was like, this is interesting. Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah, and that really speaks to just the way something else that makes this game outstanding is it really rewards your play style as a player. Mm-hmm. In other Zelda games, I'm not saying there's only one way to do it, but there's kind of one way to do things. This game, it literally was, I don't know, do what you want, man. It's, you want to, like me, I'm a climb everything guy. I want to get to the highest point wherever I'm standing. I want to get to the highest point, look at everything, float down to whatever I want.
Yeah, so I like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's how I like to play it. And I love hearing, I had no idea that Choo Choo Jellies even did that, Ryan. So now I want to go blow stuff up. So, but I love that you had that experience of, of playing the game that way with all these fun little items. Whereas my experience was, I loved being the Magellan. I liked getting up and looking at everything. The first thing I even completed in the game was I need to get all the towers. Like I have to know where everything's at. So, but I love that each player kind of has their way of exploring and interacting with this world. And that's why I'm so glad we're bringing this up on a Nintendo Nostalgia podcast. I know some of you people are like, nostalgia, this game just came out last month. Well, that's because we think it's so good. And after playing through it, it's instant nostalgia. We're sitting here telling stories already of, oh man, one time I did this thing, and
yeah, it's
only a month old. So, and as you know, nostalgia, especially gaming nostalgia, is like a fine wine. It ages, it gets sweeter, yes. And it's cool that we're doing this now, only a month removed, because 5 years removed, I think we're going to be looking back on this even sweeter than what we are right now.
Yeah.
Well, and guys, this is a perfect gaming example of how nostalgia is made. I mean, think about 20 years from now when we're talking about, you guys remember when Breath of the Wild came out? I hope this new Zelda game is just like was like that. I hope it's awesome, groundbreaking.
Well, we know how strong the GameCube 2 is going to be, so we have high hopes for that one.
Oh, yeah. Well, guys, I wanted to talk about the food element because we haven't really talked about that real quick, which is another gameplay mechanic. You couldn't hack and slash bushes and get hearts like it was nobody's business. You had to make food. Did you guys make a strategy? You wanted elements to your food? Did you just want What was your way of going about that? Ryan, you can go ahead and start. I think you had something you wanted to add there too.
I wasn't very diligent with cooking at all. I would just eat the straight raw ingredients and just eat a bunch of them. I
would do that a lot.
I wouldn't cook.
Apples for days.
Bothered with that. I just ate what I needed to and it just kept going. I would always hunt every fox that I saw and
right.
I just collect meat as I'd run along. I had no problems with that. I wouldn't really cook that much unless I absolutely needed to for certain things. Eventually, I ended up with so many bananas. I'm okay, I'm just going to throw them all in a pot and get this awesome item. I love 5 bananas. That's my favorite thing to make.
What does it make? I don't think I ever.
It gives you I think it's a 3-tiered strength for a long period of time or something like that.
They are mighty bananas. That makes sense. Yeah,
it's great for taking on Lionels for sure. Nice.
I didn't think about that. Man, but yeah, dude, for me, I know I played around with the cooking a lot. I would try this or that or a pinch of this and a pinch of that. And honestly, I started to realize there's so many combinations. I had to just give up on it. I was like, man, if I sit here and try to make every possible recipe with every possible ingredient, I'm not getting anything done in this game. If that's what's going to happen.
I love making sushi.
Oh, see, I didn't even know you could make sushi. So I didn't even get to that.
Fish.
I was very much a meat eater guy. So I was like, we got the raw prime meat. Let's get that in there. Put some mushrooms on it. Whatever it is. I built a lot of defensive food items, especially right before Ganon. I didn't even think about attack. I don't know, maybe that speaks to me again, and also to how you can play the game any way you want to. But for me, I wasn't looking at attack buffs going into Ganon. I was looking at, he's going to hit me very hard, and I don't want to lose that much life. So I was like, get triple. I'm going to go ahead and put 3 iron mushrooms, a couple hardy beetles, and I don't know, something else that just gives me lots of hearts and defense. And I had 6 or 7 of those on a stick, and I'm going to go fight Ganon with them. But I really enjoyed the cooking portion of it. I'm glad it's there. And I love that it wasn't just limited to food either, that you got all the different potions that you could brew with the monster parts and stuff. And did you ever find any crazy monster brews or elixirs?
Every time I tried, I'd always get the dubious food. So I was like, I don't want to waste valuable monster parts on this. So I just kind of gave up on that one.
The dubious food cracked me up too because it was like, because it was censored. It was like it had the pixels over it. It was like I have never seen a food so nasty that they had to be like, I can't show this to you. And it's incredibly dubious if you're having to censor this. Oh, I was like, I don't know if I want to eat it now. What am I eating now? I do like that they added that visual component though, because if it was just a text description of like, you don't know if you should eat it, but now they added that visual component of like, you can't even really see what it is you're eating. So it's like, oh, what am I putting in my mouth? I don't know. Yeah, man, that was
failed experiments.
Absolutely. And I really enjoyed just, again, everything had a purpose in that game. It doesn't matter what it was. Yes. If you could pick it up, you could do something with it. And I love that so badly.
I would laugh like so hard every time like I scan in an amiibo and like fish rain down and they're just like flopping around everywhere.
Oh my goodness! See, I didn't. No, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't. This is a good one to get into. I guess is I didn't use any amiibo at all. Like I have none of the amiibo. So how did that change? The way you played the game, or did you use it to your advantage at all? Or
no, I didn't actually like make things and sell things. I didn't do cooking that much. So it was just like the same as if it just saved me some hunting time, but not like a whole lot, like when meat dropped and stuff. And like I got fish, so I'd eat the fish raw without cooking them. And it really didn't change much for me. Like I just picked them up like something I came across in the wilds, like taking down like a goblin camp or something. And it didn't give me that much of an advantage. The weapons I went through pretty fast. So like I could have been if I was purposely using them to like get ahead, and like even like the rupee drop isn't that great. So I just thought it was just stuff I could pick up, but I didn't use it to my advantage. I didn't really
abuse it. Yeah,
it was kind of a supplemental thing, but it didn't really do anything to help my experience.
Well, as somebody who didn't have them or use them, that makes me happy to know that. I didn't miss too much then, because that was one thing that always kept bothering me. I was like, but I don't have the amiibo. I wish I could get this or that. Yeah.
I do have it on my to-do list to scan all of my amiibo collection and all the cards and everything. Like
and you have them all, correct? Like you have all of them.
I have all of the Smash ones. I don't. There's a few of the other sets that I don't have all of them, like Animal Crossing things like that. But yeah, I have all the Smash ones, and like it's crazy.
Nice.
I am missing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Zelda one. Okay. I'm missing the Ocarina of Time.
Okay.
Which I really, really want, but I haven't been able to get it. And then I haven't gotten the Toon Zelda and Toon Link combo pack.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah.
But I have all the other ones.
So awesome. And you brought it up talking about items and different things, but one of my favorite things in the game was the armor. I love the idea of the armor, because even you go back to Ocarina of Time, I loved the fact that like, wait, if I put on the red tunic, I'm resistant to fire, or I put on the blue tunic, I can breathe underwater. And that's as far as armor ever got in Zelda. I mean, and you look at some of the older ones, you had like in Link Between Worlds, you get the different tunics and it just reduces damage or what have you, or saves magic. And it was like still cool, but not much there. And we get into this Zelda game and armor is beast. Armor is awesome. There's so many different things. They took that idea of the red and blue tunic from Ocarina of Time and they just blew that up into, now you have a resistance or a buff to, every kind of thing you can have.
I like the armor also had some weight to it. Like you threw on the volcano suit and you were heavier.
You felt it,
You definitely felt that mobility.
You waddled and
not debilitating so much, but you could definitely tell a difference. Like in climbing, you're just a little bit slower, and maybe it's just my imagination, but I felt like that was the case. Like now, since we are doing a spoiler cast, I will say I've taken several screenshots of it, but my favorite for sure is the Dark Link outfit. Like I love that. Now that will be eclipsed once the Majora's Mask one becomes available, because running around as Fierce Deity, my goodness, yes.
Yeah. Good point.
Now, guys, I have to admit, with the armor thing, I really it was cool that they added these elements, but I honestly, I didn't care for it. because here's what I did. Once I got my hands on the green tonic, that's all I kept playing with. Like to me, this was like, I want to, like, I like the blue shirt that he has. Don't get me wrong. I would find myself going back to that from time to time. And I liked how the game started out with, like, you didn't have your clothes, you know. I felt like it was great. You had to earn them. A complaint I have about the game was, this is a spoiler. After you get all the shrines, you get the hero of the
right.
It's the hero of the wild or something like that.
Yeah.
You get the tonic, the green tonic for the game, but that's like after all the shrines, and you've literally played.
Yeah.
Unless you went for the shrines before you did the story. For me, like I had pretty much every bit of the story done besides slaying Ganon.
Right.
It's so, and then I thought the outfit looked stupid.
Oh, see, I liked it. I thought that outfit was cool. I haven't got it yet because I haven't finished the shrines, but because it was a callback to the original NES Zelda. It's got the brown sleeves.
That's what I hate. I hate the brown. I don't like that look. I think the brown looks stupid. I'm a big fan of the Ocarina.
It's okay. Yeah,
I'm a bigger fan of the Ocarina and the Twilight Princess outfit look. So, like, to be honest, and my favorite game is the Wind Waker that you've heard me say in past episodes. And like, I did not like the Wind Waker. That was the first suit I had. I did not like it the way it looked in this game. I just didn't think it fit the art style. Yeah. I thought it looked silly. But I really was playing. I didn't have all of the Ocarina of Time outfit, so I actually had all of Twilight Princess, and I played most of the game in that tonic because that's like when I would go into a fight, like. It really bugged the crap out of me when I had to fight the last fight in the Fire Temple, and I had to wear this special armor to fight because I want to have the Master Sword and the traditional shield and the green tonic, and I want to slay these suckers this way. Yeah. So it bugged me when I couldn't wear that outfit.
So my favorite armor, and it took me a while to really kind of think about this because I love all the different ones. I love the barbarian armor. I love the rock climbing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Love that. Throw on that headband and the short sleeves and the shorts, and I love that. But actually, I really enjoyed the standard Hylian hood and like the tunic and the pants, and I maxed those dudes out. Like
I like those.
So I beat the game and I repainted everything. So like I have a green hood. See, that was my nod to the way things things were. But I love the look of the new Hylian tunic and the pants and stuff. So I painted those up. Have my own individual outfit, and that's what I beat Ganon with. So I get to look like a boss with a hood on when I'm walking out of there. So
that is cool.
I really, really enjoyed that, and I wore that hood stinking everywhere I could.
I did like that hood. I will admit I did like that hood. That was one of my go-to when I wasn't wearing the tonic, especially before I had it all. I would go to that one a lot.
Yeah,
I never clicked that one.
Yeah, I get it. But again, there's so many things to wear. Like it's totally cool. Like I understand that, and I love that you have that ability to express yourself and play that way in a Zelda game. It's awesome.
Yeah, like I haven't done this yet, but I'm going to for fun. I'm going to wear my Switch shirt and I'm going to slay Ganon and take a selfie with him in the background as I slay him.
We didn't even talk about selfies. My goodness.
Well, I mean, there's a lot to this game. We could be on this part for like
ever. Seriously.
I mean, this could be a 5-hour podcast if we want to talk about every detail, but we don't want that. So guys, I want to talk about, clearly the gameplay is awesome. It's revolutionary, set a new standard in general. A lot of people are going to judge this game just off the gameplay, but to me, Zelda is so much established and it's so much more, it's bigger than just getting a new game, some new franchise. Like there is a story to be told, and this connects to all the other Zelda games. We have a Historia that does that, and I think the story and the lore of Zelda is just as important, in my opinion, as the gameplay is. Now, Nintendo would disagree. Gameplay comes first, but I am a story nut, and they nailed the gameplay. Awesome. You're right. You don't want to make a crappy game, but let's talk about the story. The story is where I start to sway a little bit on this game. Mm-hmm. So I'll go ahead and Tom, let's have you kick off this segment and Ryan, we'll go to you, and then I will share my thoughts on some of the story.
I think we may actually we might be in agreement here. I'm not sure. I didn't check with you, but I think we might be in agreement here. The story, I'll just put it out front. I don't think the story in Breath of the Wild was as good as maybe even some other Zelda stories. I think it's solid. I think it's cool. I love the Divine Beasts. I love the Guardians. I love all Guardians. That was the name we were looking for earlier, Ryan. So anyway, I love the Guardians. I love the Divine Beast. I love all of that. The 4 legendary people. Champions. That's right. I was wrong. Remember when I said that was the word? It wasn't. It was champions. So, but anyway, I love that there's 4 of those guys, and you can do all that stuff with them, and I liked it. But like, maybe it was because the game is so open, and you can kind of take it at your own pace. That the story felt disjointed to me. Like it felt like there was, because there was, and I guess that's my fault maybe as the player, as there would be times that like I'd get really into the story and do some story beats, and then I wouldn't. I'd go.
I was like that.
Look at that thing over there. I want to kill that. And then I would, after finding 5 shrines along the way, go, oh, wait, what was I doing? Oh, yeah, this thing. And you go that way. And then the story picks up like you were on your way to it, but it was, you know what I mean? So that was small, a little bit for me, but I still like the story. I just think the open world part of it may have made it feel a little disjointed.
Which is ironic because, the open world part, that's what made the game extra fun, was that you could go off and get distracted. That was the blast. That was the best part of the game, honestly. It really was.
And some of the putty they tried to put in those cracks, if you will, were the fact that you had the memories that you had to regain, and they were all over the world. So, like, sometimes you would just stumble on a memory. You'd be like, oh, look at this shiny spot. This must be where all those memories were, So they kind of smooth it out with that, making part of the exploration, the story. But I still feel like there was some running back and forth if you wanted to run straight through the story.
Sure. Ryan, what are your overall thoughts of the story?
Honestly, it was a big letdown for me. Like, I felt robbed on some of the memories, seeing those reveal videos previously, and they showed things. I'm like, I've already seen this stuff. Where's the new stuff? And like, that's a good point. I felt like the story was very shallow for what it was. It didn't have any groundbreaking things. Like, the ending was very standard. It was standard. There was nothing big about it. It was kind of lackluster for me, and I enjoyed the world. I loved exploring, and for this to be my top game of all time now, it's. Even though the story is lacking, the gameplay experience, the part that was the fun part, the part you actually get into, no sinking cutscenes, no amazing jaw-dropping graphics. It was the gameplay and all the stuff that you could do that really, really drew me in. And the story was just a kind of a side note, honestly. It was more the world that was the draw there.
Yep, I agree. That's exactly how I felt about it, and that's what kept me feeling like it was a little disjointed, because I felt like it got in my way sometimes. It was like, that's cool, it's fine and all, but I really want to get strong enough to fight that lion all over there. I really want to do that.
I wanted to connect with the champions, and I didn't.
That was the best part of my opinion.
Drawn to them. I felt like there should have been another cutscene, another story development there for each one to really get you drawn in, because I felt like it touched on it, and you got a feel for how the relationship was.
Yeah.
But it didn't really create that bond like it normally would in a Zelda game.
See, and that's actually the part of the story I did enjoy were the Guardians. I actually liked champions. I messed it up again. The champions, I enjoyed their story, all built into it. I liked each individual personality. I liked the whole kind of one-sided love thing from Mipha. I liked Daruk being the big brother and all that kind of stuff. I liked Urbosa, the Gerudo lady. I really connected to that character for whatever reason, because I like that when you see all the flashbacks with her and Zelda and Link, she kind of had it all together. You know what I'm saying? She was top tier leveled up, if that makes sense. So she was the coolest, because she was she snaps her fingers and lightning strikes. That's awesome. And it was crazy too to think about. These people fell. I did not care about stupid what's his face Birdman.
Rivali,
yeah, that guy was a jerk. forget about that.
Yeah.
Glad he died.
He was Falco.
He was
Falco and Zelda.
He was the worst Falco, though. He wasn't even like a good guy Falco. He was just an annoying Falco. But anyway,
He was.
But anyway, so like I connected a lot with those the champions, and I thought that was a really cool part of the story. But I will agree with you with I wish there was some follow up with it. I really wish there was some follow up with those 4 because I did start to get connected to them, and I like that part. And then no real payoff other than we shot our lasers. Good luck,
And there was no way to really interact with them. Like in Ocarina of Time, I would talk with, I guess Soraya, and like you built that relationship. And when you found out like she was destined to be this temple like guardian, and like you couldn't like be together, you couldn't like develop that friendship anymore. Like that was really sad. And like you didn't have that element in Breath of the Wild where you could actually talk with them and learn some more about them and actually connect with them. It was. I feel like that was a missed opportunity in some ways.
I could definitely agree with that.
Jacob?
Yeah. Okay. So I will say from going way back to E3 last year, like when Ryan and I first saw this trailer, like I was astounded. I was like, I couldn't wait to dive into the story of this game because I was like, what happened? Like everything is in ruins. Like there's no one around. What happened? Like I want to know what's going on. I want to know the story of this game. And so like they did a great job getting me into wanting to see the story. Now, as the game unfolds, you realize the story is not all as what it was advertised. As in, like, there are a lot of people still in the game. Like, that first trailer, you thought, like, it was a barren land. And there's, like, maybe there's a couple people, but in general, like, everyone's dead.
Yeah, you were Mad Max in that trailer. Yeah.
Pretty much. So I have big issues with the story. Again, I agree it was an okay story. It was not. I do not think this was a bad story. I'm not saying that the story sucked. No, it did not. It doesn't suck. It's an okay story. It's like it's like a okay action film, but there's a lot of awesome action scenes.
Remarkably all right. Yeah.
Right. So I felt like the memories. I understand why they did it, and it was an avenue that they tried. I don't like the avenue. I would want something different. I'm not a fan of, like, I felt like I was already playing a game that already happened. As in, like, you keep finding these memories and all the cool story parts already happened. And, like, it was cool at first until, like, I would get a memory that I looked forever for, and it was, like, 30 seconds long, and it was stupid. Like there was I felt like some of those cutscenes from memories were like, this is pointless. Like, why did I go here for this? Like, what did this add to the story?
Yeah.
Princess Zelda trying to get Link to touch a frog or kiss a frog or something like that. One of the memories. And like, it was humorous, but it had no story addition to it, in my opinion.
And I think a lot of those memories, if they weren't directly about the other champions, they were building up that relationship between Zelda and Link, which still falls a little flat to me because it really focused on Zelda kind of coming to grips with her powers or lack thereof, which was interesting. So the payoff was supposed to be, I think, and again, I don't think it was done well. The payoff was supposed to be you spent all this time learning how Zelda's struggling so bad to be what she feels like she needs to be for her people, for all this stuff. And to see her kind of fail with the whole Ganon still took over, but she's still fighting. So the payoff, I think, was supposed to be seeing her still fighting Ganon for 100 years. She did it. You know what I'm saying? She did it. But where it falls flat is, I mean, that's cool, but so
So do you I'm glad you bring up Princess Zelda. That was a big key thing. I think a lot of people love this about the game. And I honestly, I don't. I kind of take an issue with it. Like, they made this game more about Princess Zelda being the hero instead of Link. Whereas, like, Zelda's jealous of Link through the whole thing. She's annoyed that he's there. Him and his stupid sword. Why is he always coming to my help? And I mean, I understand there's like this whole people want to see more women take powerful roles, and like Zelda, like they wanted Zelda Link to be a girl, and like I was not for that. I don't mess with the story. Don't mess with the lore of the game. So I think in Nintendo's response to making a girl playable, I think that they were making it to where the story was about it. The Zeldas, I mean, they haven't done that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that this was bad. I'm just saying I don't prefer this way. Like, it was okay. We said the story was okay.
Right.
But they tried to empower Zelda and make it all about her, whereas there's so much more to the Zelda game where Link's supposed to be the hero. Link is supposed to save everything, and he essentially does. But
Well,
like
and that was a story beat that I liked. I liked that. I didn't mind Zelda kind of being in the forefront. It was okay to me. I didn't mind it, but I like that. I like the quiet heroes like Link.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because let's face it, he did. He's the one that saved the day. He did, and I mean that's the whole point. But he didn't like go looking for it. He didn't go and stand up in front of everybody. He was just like, I just got to kind of do this. People are counting on me.
Think of it like this. Really, we know Link is powerful. We know he is the hero. He's the savior. But we haven't seen anything from Zelda's side that was very personal. And
this was very personal.
We could see Link like come to his power over and over and over again, and see him succeed over Ganon. But to see like Zelda on a more personal level, it was developing her character. We've seen Link time and time again, but not Zelda. And we got a little bit of that from Twilight Princess. We got a little bit of that developing, even a little bit from Tetra. And that's something that we've hit on. But this kind of gave some emotion behind it, and that character development was well needed. Now, I do feel a lot like being Link being like the silent, like unspoken hero in a way in this adventure, like that caused some funky things to happen in the last boss fight. Yeah, and how that all played out, and it didn't feel like there was much depth, and even the part where like Zelda was helping, like I didn't feel like she was very much of a forefront. I didn't feel like Link was very much of a forefront. I was like, this just is happening. This isn't like, it's just going through the motions again, like every other reincarnation of Ganon. Like, it wasn't...
Yeah. I will say this, though.
It wasn't new and advancing.
Yeah, I agree. And the one thing I will say, last thing I hear about Zelda, her kind of being at the forefront, the one thing I did like, in a subtle way, that worked with this story, is if you were to jump forward again another 100 years in this world, so let's say... you had 100 years, then the game, and then 100 years forward, and they go to tell the story of this, it really is the Legend of Zelda. It's not the Legend of Link. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the Legend of Zelda doing this and fighting Ganon for 100 years and saving us. And, like, that's kind of the cool part of the story. But, again, I just think it didn't deliver at the end enough for me.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. It's a valid point there. I see what you're saying.
And think about this. This is not the end of the story. There's more being added on with the DLC.
Oh, yeah, DLC.
So we may get a complete picture with the DLC like we never would have saw coming.
Yep.
So moving on from Zelda, my biggest disappointment with the game was Ganon. I after playing it, I'm not a fan of this Calamity Ganon. When I went into to slay him and he comes out of that heart thing, that wasn't Ganon. Like, that thing that fell out was ugly and it was not Ganon. Like, that's not when I want to see Ganon. You know what I'm saying? Like, we barely saw the traditional Ganon. I did not like, he was like this big skeletal thing with his hair off his face. I mean, I understand it was the elements of the bosses that you brought all together.
So here's where I'll what do you say?
I didn't pick up on that he was the different elements of the bosses that you fought. I never noticed that.
Well, they had a different. All of them had a linked design for sure. Like, they all had common elements in each other. But this is where I'm gonna come out and challenge you a little bit on this, Jacob. Is like, at some point, I know a lot of us like the traditional Zelda experience. A lot of us like the traditional Zelda, habits, if you will. So I know, you want Link to do this, you want the Master Sword to look like this, you want Ganon to do this. But, like, for me, when does that change? When does that evolve? When does that go forward? And I know you're saying you don't like some of these things because they're not the same as the old things. And I'm saying good. I'm glad they're not as like the old things. I'm glad it's different. Now, I didn't like Ganon, the Calamity Ganon, because of the mechanics of the fight. I felt it was a little easy, but that's a whole issue. As far as the design and the build up to Ganon, Calamity Ganon, I thought that was great. I thought he was cool. I thought it was fun to get in there.
I mean, that would have been cool, in my opinion, if that was like the boss before the final boss. Like all the villains come back, all the 4 bosses that you defeat come together, form this disgusting beast, and then you beat them, and then Ganon reabsorbs them, and then you get to fight Ganon. Like, I want to fight the freaking Ganon that we fought at the end of Ocarina of Time when the building collapsed. That kind of Ganon, like, that's what I was expecting to walk into, and we didn't get that.
And that's what I'm saying. I was like, if you want that, that's an Ocarina of Time. This is Breath of the Wild. So to me, like, I don't necessarily have a problem with that Ganon as much as it is, I want my Zelda games to go forward. Like, do something different. Yeah, just do something different.
Why is it so different, though? Like, here's my thing. Like, every Zelda game we've had, if you're going based off the story, he's never been so vastly different. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we had Demise, who starts everything off, and his reincarnation is Ganondorf and Ganon. And he's always been the similar thing. Like, he's been slayed multiple times, and he comes back, and there might be a different design of him, but you knew it was Ganon. Like, this did not even look like Ganon.
Well, he's Calamity Ganon. Yeah.
But where did Calamity even come from? Like, what is that?
Think about the progression of Ganon, and that he's had how many hundreds of thousands of years, even if the timeline goes like that, to build his power and to grow and to mutate and he's taking on new forms of. I felt like this was a very, very messy Ganon, and that parts coming off of him, like in weird places, like even like his bosses in the beasts, were very, very, like, they didn't feel like all organized. They felt very just
desperate,
and in a way, yes, very desperate, very just that whole feeling about him was like he's kind of, his power is gone from being all collected and in like a sphere to like
it's raw,
like expanding out all over the place. And like,
would you say that it was wild?
Yes, very, very wild. Like, I think they captured that wild look. Like, I liked seeing that first time when Ganon looks at you and like the long hair. Like, I felt like, his hair is grown unkempt. Like, it's crazy because he's been in for 100 years. Like, of course it's this long flowing, like,
gross nastiness.
Grossness. Like that I liked those choices they made in it, despite the boss battle being so.
Yeah, that's another issue. Yeah.
I feel like the design was really cool. I still don't like that they brought the Borgan, and I know originally that's his design was he's like pig-like, but I really do like the Ganondorf a lot. And so when I got to see kind of a semblance of that in the first part of the fight, that was fulfilling for me.
Yeah. So you didn't like that part 2 of the fight where you go out into the field. You didn't like that part, like in Twilight Princess?
No, I didn't like it very much, no.
No, I didn't either.
That's hilarious because, like, that was the part that I liked because it looked like, oh, finally I get a resemblance of traditional Ganon a little bit. Like, I still thought that was pretty easy. Like, he has this long health bar. And
it was kind of lame,
That was lame. I felt like they could have made it more challenging because you literally can run off and, like, he's not gonna follow you. I mean.
Well, it's weird. It's weird because that first fight with Ganon, it lets you use whatever you want,
everything.
Like you always have. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, hey, change your armor up, use this weapon, try this, get good at shield deflecting, whatever it is, like whatever you could use to fight Ganon in there, you could. And then when you go outside, it limits you to one mechanic. It limits you to ride a horse, shoot an arrow. Like, why can't I get off and climb him? Why can't I and go full Shadow of the Colossus on him? You know what I'm saying? Why can't I do these other things that I've been doing all game outside?
Can you climb him?
Or no, not really. At all.
Oh,
no,
okay.
You get blasted away, and I tried. And but you know, that's what upset me about that second fight. Is not only was it easy, but it limited me. This whole game let me do whatever the heck I wanted to. And then even the first half of the battle let me do whatever I wanted to, which was good. And then the second half, you go outside. And you're like, yeah, baby, we're outside. This is my turf now. You spend all game claiming this land.
That's true.
And then you're stuck on a horse shooting an arrow, and it's like,
I can see the gameplay part of why that's frustrating. I just like the fact that I actually got a resemblance of the Ganon that I've always known. Now, I've said this in past episodes. First off, story-wise for me, I actually prefer it when there's a humanoid version of Ganon. I don't like it just being Ganon. I don't like this mindless beast riding it. Because it builds better character development and adds to the story if like Ganondorf was there, per se. And I like the progression of you beat Ganondorf, and then his last desperation is he transforms into Ganon for his last like raging attempt to win. So I would prefer it to be Ganondorf first off, but So now our artist for the show, Kyle Martin, he couldn't be with us today, but he brought up an interesting point back a couple weeks ago. We were talking. Ryan intervened on Facebook with it. Zelda says that Ganondorf used up like all of his power so he could not be reincarnated. Is that correct? Now I know like we're going to talk about if that's even proper, but that's what she said in the game, right? That
is what Zelda said. She said he gave up his ability to be reincarnated to go all out.
When he went to the boar, or just in general?
It was in the second part of the fight that was mentioned.
Oh, so that's
I think that was maybe when the eye popped up. I don't remember exactly. I'm gonna have to go back and play that battle again.
I don't remember anything about that. Yeah,
but she mentioned something about him giving up his reincarnation ability,
which I kind of take an issue with that because it's never been. I never took it as it's an ability he knew he had. Like it's always something like it is a curse that he will automatically just come back due to the curse existing, and. Just like any of the other ones, like I don't. Maybe Ganon would have ideas of his past, but like Link doesn't know that until he learns about the legends that he's the hero. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't know. So now I know that Ryan's debunked that, and the DLC could even add to this part, but because Ryan, you brought up some good points. Would you like to explain those of how this theory can be undone?
Yes. One thing, it was kind of something that was lost, I think, kind of in the shuffle of the story. Like it with this whole reincarnation thing happened, like he gave up on the reincarnation to go all out against you, and like he's ending that cycle of Link and Zelda, or at least personally of himself, like being reborn. And that was kind of lost. It was just kind of mentioned almost in passing during that battle, and so that was easily missed by people. As
I didn't see it,
noticing that, and that's something that I read a lot into, but it didn't strike me at the time. Like I felt like it could have meant a lot more if it would have been brought to the forefront.
Oh yeah.
But honestly, like I think that this could even possibly tie into a Zelda in the timeline. It isn't the final one in the timeline, or like one of the latest ones in the timeline. I think that like Ganon gives up his reincarnation ability, and now that's not to say that Ganon can't be revived again and continue on his reincarnation cycle. Like you could have what was it, Aghanim? Is that how you pronounce his name? Like what if Aghanim is the reason that Ganon comes back? Is because he restores the ability to reincarnate to Ganon.
Oh, there you go.
Absolutely. Like that could tie into that story. Like Ganon can't do it on his own anymore. He gave up that to try as a last ditch effort to take out Link and Zelda.
Yeah. How much you guys know? How much you guys know about Thundercats?
Not a lot.
Not very much.
This is going to seem random, but stick with
Snarf
me.
is annoying.
Snarf is annoying. But the villain in Thundercats, Mum-Ra, is one of my favorite like villains just in general. Because I like my villains to be wild and unstoppable and you know all this kind of stuff, which is why I don't mind the concept of Calamity Ganon. But plugging back into Mum-Ra, what makes him so big and so powerful is you can't kill him so long as evil exists. Like, so if evil exists anywhere, like Mum-Ra can just come back to life.
Yeah.
And I think Ganon totally has a Mum-Ra thing going on where if evil exists, I think he can come through. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where, yeah, he gave up his reincarnation ability, but I don't think that counts for what she's, you know, plus the whole game spent the whole time telling us that Zelda doesn't know what she's talking about. So so she says something like that. I'm like, well, I'm sure he'll come back. just because if there's evil, I feel like Ganon's going to be there. If there's power to be corrupted, he will be there. And there will always be a hero. Yeah. You think he gave up?
I think he gave up his ability to do that.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the end of his story.
No way.
Like I said, some character can revive him again. And yes, his line will continue after that because he's restored to power to be able to do that reincarnation thing. That's kind of how I took it.
Yeah. I think that's the best way to go about it, Ryan. I really like that. What your theory there makes sense to me. Because
to be fair. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're good.
Well, I was going to change subject. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was going to say, to be fair, after all this story talk, and I know I like, this story is okay. Best story in this game, Tarrytown, hands down.
Yes.
Tarrytown. If you haven't done the Tarrytown quest, listeners, go do that. I won't even spoil that for you. Just do the Tarrytown quest. It's super great. That's the best story in Breath of the Wild.
I'll have to finish it.
You'll experience something in a video game that I don't know they've really done ever.
Yeah,
maybe they touched on it in Fable. Right? I don't know. I've never played the Fable series, but
that's making that side town. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Capital Hudson.
Yeah, I never finished it.
Olsen Construction Company.
Finish it.
Yeah.
All the Suns.
It's good.
So
it's really good.
Some more. We'll start wrapping up the story part here, but just some tidbits information. Let's talk about. I know we're not going to dive. The timeline part could go on forever too, but I still don't think it's 100% clear of where the timeline is, but there are some key side quests and things in the game that point to specific old Zelda games where they directly talk about them. Like, I didn't know this till after I beat the game because I didn't do this part. I didn't do this side mission. In the Zora, where you find all of the side, you guys remember the tablets in the wall? So it was like talking about Zora history.
Oh, yeah.
I never completed that one.
Yeah,
there's a quest, but in one of the things they talk about, this gives you an idea of how far into the future this Zelda game is. They talk about many generations ago. I don't know exactly what they say, but they basically reference this is a long time ago. Feels today, this is King David times for us. that there was a Princess Zora, Ruto, that when they found the technology, which was 10,000 years before the events of this game. Mm-hmm. When they found the technology, they named it after one of the legendary ancestors in that time of the great Princess Ruto, which is talking about the events of Ocarina of Time. So 10,000 years, they're talking about somebody who was thousands of years removed from even those events, that they named the technology that they find of the elephant beast and that's why it's called Ruto. They named it after her throughout time because her name was passed down throughout the Zora history. Now that technology, and that was just a fun fact to point out, but that technology is believed that this is the technology that they dig up from that we find in Skyward Sword of ancient technology from the ancient times before everyone came down, before, you know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
That's hilarious. No, in the ancient civilization, there is technology. When you come down in Skyward Sword, I think it's in the desert area and stuff. Uh-huh. We have the time shifting stones. There's technology. The story, it has been, people are thinking that they're talking about the technology that they dig up is from this old ancient civilization from thousands, from the beginning of time. And that is what they use in this game. So, which is another connection to an older game. So just Google it up, everybody listening, that you can go Zelda past game mentions and stuff. So, I just thought that stuff was cool. I just don't like that you have to go out of your way to find this stuff. I'm not a fan that I could skip memories and just beat the game. I don't like that because then you miss out on the story. What's the point of the story if I don't even have to find every single memory to beat this game? Maybe they should have made a requirement to get every memory before you
See, but then you're doing something that you've always had to do before in other Zelda games, is they're leading you to places, and that was the whole point of this game, was to not do that, is to let you kind of just have it.
Right, but the final goal, I mean, if you have everything else open, but you just, to get to the final goal, you have to get these. I mean, that's a compromise I'm willing to make. Like, you're not ruining the game. You still would have all that experience of freedom of the game. You just couldn't fight Ganon until your memories were restored.
But at the same time, like, we're complaining about Ganon being too easy. How hard would it be to go to Ganon, like, at the beginning of the game and try taking him on?
Right, yeah.
Like,
Sure.
He would be a really hard boss to take on.
True.
Sure.
So, like, how experienced do you want to go and become super powerful to take on Ganon?
That's very true. Right. Well, guys, we're gonna try to wrap this up here because we're getting long in the tooth. But real quick, so I'll just ask you guys some simple questions. I want to know, where do we want Zelda to go next? But before you answer that, can we play past Zelda games, like mainline Zelda games? Like, can they go back to a similar formula? Like, I know we got the sides top down, like Link to the Past style games people can go back to, but could you ever see them making another Zelda game that's part of a mainline story in the form of like a Twilight Princess or Ocarina? Just to mix it up, you know, like maybe in the process of going, while they're making the Breath of the Wild Part 2, you know,
right?
Could they ever make a game like that? Or if they could, would you enjoy it? Ryan?
I would enjoy it if they did. They can. I don't think I'm ever going to be happy if I have to go to open a door and now there's loading. When you just open
I agree
the door
with that.
and walk right into it.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
I won't like that. Like,
yeah.
But that's just a little thing. Like, that's like the fact that this game, one of the silliest things for me on it being one of my favorite games, is I've always been like harping on about, well, yeah, this game has these awesome graphics, but like if you look at the grass, it looks all flat and like boring. But then like, and I was like, that was kind of my standard. And then when I was playing Breath of the Wild, I like looked down and I saw the individual blades of grass.
Yeah, that was cool.
They finally did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it was beautiful.
I don't see them. I can see them taking shortcuts and dumbing it down and being like older Zeldas, but I could also see them putting the time in. And like, I don't know, if it's like 5-10 years down the road till we get another Zelda game like this, like, please take that time to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because this was totally worth it, every bit of it. And you have the engine built now. You can take this engine and build it on with new story and some new mechanics and stuff. And this is kind of like taking Mario 64 and then taking it on to Sunshine. Like, it's a different thing. It looks better, and it's got some slightly different mechanics, but it's basically the same idea. Like, this is the new building block for this generation, and I think that to go back would be a misstep.
Okay.
Well, and
I
think they can definitely go back. I mentioned it earlier in the show. I think they can go back and do some other things, because again, to me, it all comes down to experience and gameplay. So if they put out a sequel to Ocarina of Time, you know what I'm saying, I'm down. You know what I'm saying, and have it and keep it in that style, I'm down, as long as the game's fun and as long as you're giving me a unique experience. I'm down with that. If they complete the trilogy of Link to the Past, with a top-down game, I'm totally game for that, because I think the more what Breath of the Wild really did to me is it opened my eyes to the fact that I know we love to compare Zelda games. Everybody's got a list. Every Zelda player's got a list of this Zelda game's better than this Zelda game, and this Zelda game's worse than this. The more I'm really noticing all the Zelda games, a lot of them, they're apples and oranges sometimes. They really are. Because I look at a Link to the Past or Link Between Worlds, that's completely different experience from Ocarina of Time.
Sure.
And Majora's Mask, which is completely different experience from the NES Zeldas, which is a completely different experience from each other on the NES.
Right. And a completely different experience from the CDI games, the Philips games.
Oh my gosh. Those don't count.
Ryan,
that's not canon.
The show.
That's not canon.
Not canon. It's not my Historia.
So exactly. If it's not in Historia, it's not true. So then I look at Breath of the Wild, and it's a whole new type of Zelda. It's different from Wind Waker. It's different from all these other ones. So I think you can go back so long as you're doing well, because again, they went back with even Minish Cap. That was going back. I thought they went back with that one. It was meant to be more of a Link to the Past type game, and it was great. So I think you can go back for sure with Zelda.
Cool. Well, where do you want them to go next?
To go?
Yeah.
I'm greedy. You got to go bigger. Like if you're gonna, I guess I shouldn't say that. I had a change of mind right here live on air. I'd like to see maybe something go bigger, go a little wider even, or get even crazier with it. But I think I just want them to go different. Maybe the more I keep thinking about it, go different, because we just talked about how all the Zelda games that we love and remember and the greatest ones on the list, they're all different experiences. So
that's true.
It's going to have to go somewhere else, maybe to be legendary,
land,
if you will. Yeah. Maybe not just a different land. I'm talking bigger, like just the concept of the way that you play the game, how you think about Zelda, because that's what this did. This tore down so many different standbys. You have the whole shrine system. You got stamina in this game, the weapon breaking and all that stuff. Like this was just different from every Zelda experience ever up to this point. So going forward, that's where I think they've kind of painted themselves into a corner, is like, you're going to have to do something that's better than this. And it's going to have to be different because you already have Breath of the Wild. So
yeah,
sure.
Well, you don't necessarily have to in that respect, because the Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask weren't so far removed. They were very similar. So they could do that half step with Breath of the Wild. But yes, you're right. On the horizon, there needs to be something that does something different, because that's how they've always done it. Like they've always changed it up, and just the same as finding Link riding trains. Like that's totally weird.
But I love it. Yeah.
I actually would really love for them to. I really want something more to the Majora's Mask iteration. I would love for them to revisit masks and transforming, and that would be really cool if they could do that. That's just my opinion. I want to see more of Majora. I want to see a return to that. So for me, I think it would be a mistake to go back and make games like Ocarina of Time in that format. I think us hardcore Nintendo Zelda fans and stuff could take it for what it is. But I think in general, if you don't care about like the story and you don't care about everything, you just want to play a new game, you'll get bored with them, I think. And to be honest, I even got bored with games like the Spirit Tracks and stuff. I just wasn't a fan. Right, yeah. Like I tried them out. I gave them the due diligence. I played them, but I just wasn't getting into them very much. Those are the two I didn't finish, the 2DS ones. But I would, so I don't think you should go backwards. Now, where would I go next? I love the gameplay mechanics of this game. Don't get me wrong. You guys might think I didn't like this game. I really I put 140 hours into it. I liked this game. I wanted to complete every shrine, get every memory, because I wanted this game to not end. Like I had a blast with this game. Right. But like I said, the story is so important to me, to any of my games that I play. I love the stories. That's why I play games, is to dive into the story. And you're right. They go together. Like if you have crappy gameplay, but you have an awesome story, like I'm not going to play the game because it's going to suck. But right. I think the story, if it's lackluster, it can dampen that gameplay for me. And I know I'm not the only one out there who cares about story like this. So, and continue it in continuation like that. But what I would do, what I think would help me personally and people like me, is I would keep the same style of gameplay, open air, climb anything, do all that stuff, because I think it's so awesome. Like I don't think people are going to get bored of this anytime soon. I think they need a more intriguing story to compel you to play. So I would actually shrink the map size down a little bit. Not I'm not saying go back to like tiny Zelda. I think you're fine. I think you should make it a little bit smaller, cut off some of the borders there. And Tom's like, no.
But, you guys can't see it. I'm shaking my head pretty hard.
I would shrink it, and I would actually focus more on the story. Give me more reason to play this game to then just run around and do whatever. Because, to be honest, that'll bore me if I have more things to do of just screw around. I'm playing this game ultimately to complete a mission, and I think if I have a better story that intrigues me, I think. Because I just feel like there's something missing with Breath of the Wild. Like I feel like there was something missing, and I think it's with the story. I did not like how the story unfolded. So and that's for Nintendo to figure out how to do it. That's not my job to do it. I'm just saying I would love for there to be a better flow of the story to make it more interesting and more intriguing. So, and I think maybe if you shrunk the world just a little bit, you could get that. That's my opinion.
So as it is, again, we got DLC on the way.
Yeah.
So as it is, though, if you had to rate this game, how do you rate it?
I guess I give this game an 8 out of 10.
8. Okay.
An 8. It's not a 10 out of 10. And again, it's a Zelda game. I said at the top of the show, this topic. You can't rate a Zelda. To me, you can't judge a Zelda game based on it just being a game. There's so much history to this game, and I look at it from every aspect of it. And because the story lacked so much, and that left not a good feeling in my stomach when I ended the game, that knocks it down a couple of notches. So gameplay is awesome, and if you don't give a crap about the story, if you're just looking at that, it's 10 out of 10. But because of where I'm coming from, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10.
Ryan, what about you?
I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. It did have some story issues, but I give it top ranks because it met my criteria for things that I wanted to see in video games with graphics and with gameplay and exploration. And it hit every single one of those notes, and I was very satisfied.
Yep. I got my official rating sitting at a 9.75 is what I got mine.
Wow.
9.75. Right, a little under 10 because there are some small things that I didn't like. I felt like the end battle fell flat on its face. And actually, one of the other things I didn't really get to earlier is the music to me. Zelda to me music is a huge part of Zelda to me.
Great point.
This game, now this is where the half point comes in here, because this would have been a 9.8 otherwise. So this 0.05 taken away is from it's just the music in that it's good, but it's all very derivative of music we've heard before.
Yeah.
It still set the moods right. I still like it. But if you ask me to name an original song from Breath of the Wild, I can't.
The Guardian is maybe the Guardian music.
But even then, I don't remember that. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where I just don't think that's going to stand the test of time because so many of the other themes that they used were derivative of very popular themes. Mm-hmm. Actually, the one song I do remember kind of off the top of my head is the little storytelling Rito guy, the accordion playing dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I liked his song. Cats. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Cat. Yeah. I enjoyed his songs. Those were nice. But other than that, there wasn't too much original music for me.
Right.
And it's weird that I'm taking points off for music. Like I said, it's 0.05. To me, it fell short in delivering. Not as harsh as Jacob gave it, but to me, it just fell short on delivering on the story and wrapping that up with the actual end boss fight too.
Oh, that's great. I mean, that adds more to my point because I didn't even mention the music, and I felt the same way you did. And maybe in future iterations that they can take that element of piano and atmospheric time in certain parts of a game. That would be really cool if you enter a realm and it's all like that, and it's a big portion of the game. But you're right. Zelda has so much musical theme, and this game lacked that.
Yeah,
a lot.
Even to the point where you didn't have a musical instrument to play.
Oh yeah, great point.
That's something that you've seen in a lot of Zeldas, and they didn't show that, but they did have the accordion with Gas. So.
Yeah, well, I think that's the first time we haven't had a musical instrument since Link's Awakening, because you had the ocarina in Link's Awakening.
Mm-hmm.
So
but this all goes playing devil's advocate here, Tom. This all goes back to what you're saying. It's different. It's not like the other stuff, and they tried something different. Did we like it? Did we not like it? Do you prefer the older stuff?
We'll see. That actually works to my point. Is they used a lot of the old music, and I didn't like that. I wanted it to be new, and it wasn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, guys, there's our final ratings. That's what we thought about Breath of the Wild. Again, none of us think it's a bad game.
This is a great game, guys. I know we complained about little things, but like this game is outstanding.
You have to look at it as a whole package. We love Nintendo and we love this franchise, but we're giving a fair opinion. And this game is awesome. It is a freaking awesome game, and I can't wait for the DLC to get here because I want to play more. I'm hoping the DLC adds more to the story element, and that could change my rating of the overall game down the road. Who knows if it's way better and adds to it. But other than that, guys, Tom, I think everyone knows, but go ahead and let them know where they can find this game if they have not picked it up yet.
Well, if you haven't picked up this game yet, you can find it on the Nintendo Switch.
Oh yeah, such a good system.
That's it. Physical or digital?
Wrong.
That's it.
Wii U.
You're wrong, Tom.
Oh, you're right. Oh my goodness, guys, I'm so sorry. You can also get it on the Wii U.
One job
digitally. Oh my goodness, I had one job, guys. Oh man.
Oh, that's coming out of your paycheck.
That's coming out of my check. Yep. Yep.
Yes, Wii U in the Switch, guys. You can pick it up there, digital or physical. Ryan, why don't you do our due diligence, buddy?
Sure thing, man. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/NintendoNOS. You can find us on our Twitter at Nintendo_NOS. And you can shoot us an email if you want to get a hold of us at NintendoNostalgiaIN@gmail.com.
Awesome sauce, guys. Well, everybody, this is a long episode, and we knew it would be long. This is a new record-breaking episode. Tom has taken back his throne from Marty, from Mr. Marty.
How about that, Marty?
To steal it. Guys, if you want to find me personally, you can find me on Facebook. I don't mind to add you as long as you're just not like a weirdo or something. You can follow me on Twitter at NOSJacob73. That's where you can find me. Tom, where can they find you?
Hey, listen, I actually got a little more active on my Twitter. You can find me at Mr. Boomski on Twitter. Also got my Snapchat game going, The Big Boomski. You can follow me there too. It's a good time.
And Ryan, did you tell them where they could find you?
You can find me at Metroid Hunter on Twitter.
Metroid Hunter on Twitter. Awesome. Well, guys, that is it. Thank you so much. And again, if you're new to the show, this was a special, different episode, and we have these special episodes from time to time. They're not always almost 2 hours long.
Yeah. Special episode.
This is a very special episode. So please join us again. We'll be back to our regular format next week, and it's going to be a blast. We got some good topics that we're prepping up to talk about. So with all that said, everybody, thank you so much, and we'll see you next week on Nintendo Nostalgia. Goodbye.
Later.